This started after I left the London School of Furniture. I built guitars in my garage for a while, and 25 years later, there are now 10 of us building our own brand of unique guitars out of our workshop in Canterbury. So we're... phone, hang on. Make sure you get that out. Go on, where's that phone? Hi, welcome to episode 4. In this episode, we're going to show you some new products that we've been working on. Electric guitars. I'll let the video do the talking. Thanks for watching. Joe's here because we're just about to build the website for the new electric guitars. So we've got to work out how that's going to look. Joe's built most of the web, or well, all the website that we've currently got. So we need to tweak lots of things. And at this point, we're hoping to sell direct because we're only going to make 2 electric guitars a week, and we just want to test the water to see what people think about it. So hopefully, we can get people's interest through the website, and yeah, so that's what we're going to do. So you've got a few ideas?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Do you want to sort of just get set up?
Yeah, sure.
And we'll have a look and see what it looks like.
Yeah.
Nice one, Joe. Laurence Lock. Laurence has been working here for the last
3.5 years.
3.5 years. He's been working on the setup side of things. He glues all the guitars, necks and bridges on, and yeah, does the final setups and all the fretting. Pretty much that. Yeah. And then we were sort of around about February 2021. We were thinking we should make an electric guitar, and first of all it was for a bit of fun really, and we thought, well, if we were going to make an electric guitar, what would we make? And we just thought it'd be so much fun to make something that was, you know, from our sort of childhood, this sort of 80s style pointy guitar. And so Phil Meekins, who's downstairs in the finishing department, he's really into these as well. So there was a group of us who just thought, right, let's sort of try and get these up and running. So Phil pretty much made these, didn't
Yeah,
he?
Phil did a lot of overtime and pretty much handmade both of these guitars. I just, again, other people make the parts, I put them together, so I did the fretting and the final assembly and the wiring. And yeah, but Phil pretty much handmade everything, and the paint job took him ages. You know.
Yeah, it's all hand masked paint job, cellulose, sort of mirror finish.
Yeah, it's a real labour of love for an April Fool's joke.
Yeah, so we released it on April Fool's Day, and everyone thought it was just, it wasn't real.
Yeah,
and
it was photoshopped.
Yeah, but like there's videos of Laurence playing them, and people were go, if it is real, I'd like one. And so it was crazy. It was thinking, right, what are we going to do? It was the biggest video that we've ever posted because it got posted by everyone. Like all the major magazines picked up on it, and they do every year. They do an April Fool's roundup, and they do like a top 10, and we've got in there. Pretty so cool. We had this little 15 minutes of fame, and then we thought, well, we'll come back to that, and we'll try and make some electric guitars. But in the meantime, I found myself sort of thinking I'd like to get back into playing electric guitar, because I used to play a lot of electric guitar when I was sort of in my 20s, and then acoustic guitars just took over completely. And so I started looking, you know, trawling the internet, looking at old. I had some pre-CBS Strats years and years ago, and I was thinking, I wonder whether I'd buy one of those. And I, you know, look at the price tag, and I just can't afford one of those. So, you know, Laurence was like, well, let's make some. So we started thinking, let's just go over this with a fine-tooth comb and look at everything that we like about electric guitars. And we wanted to start in a place that was sort of a natural starting place for us. And because of the acoustics, we've often picked classic models that are people's favourites. So it seemed obvious to sort of move over to sort of Strats and Tellys. So I mean, this is what we've done so far.
So number 1.
Yeah, so that's the first one. Well, the thing that you have to get right about designing you know, an electric guitar that is basically a sort of homage to an earlier model, is that you have to get the headstock, and you need your own headstock. So we've sort of worked on our headstock quite a lot, and it's a hard thing to get right. And so we wanted a bit of a nod to that sort of. So that's my phone. Just turn. Eric Clapton, God no. So yeah, we wanted to get our own sort of look with it, and we've come up with this, which has this sort of nod again to our J43 model, with that sort of point. And yeah, I think we sort of worked on the balance and did various mock-ups of this, and yeah, in the end we've gone with that, and I think we're all pretty happy with that now, aren't we?
Yeah, had pretty good feedback.
Yeah, headstocks are notoriously difficult to get right. So that's our offering, and it's sort of, we've worked it in with some nice decal. The acoustic guitars, the finish is so popular, our aged finish, and we knew that we could do electric guitar finishes justice. So we sort of made this first prototype, and then Laurence was really interested in winding the pickups himself, and we kind of thought that would be a really fun project to actually see if we could wire our own pickups. And yeah, we sort of bought all the gear, didn't we? And,
yeah, no pressure.
Yeah.
So these are the first pickups I wound in house here, and these are enamel wire, plain enamel wire, and Alnico 2 magnets with a light bevel. We got a custom stagger that you don't often find. It's sort of in between vintage and the 60s vintage and the 70s flat. So you don't get that really loud G string with the horrible stratitis you can get, and the D string isn't dull like the 70s ones. And it also works really well with a 10-inch radius, which is, you know, Leo Fender kind of gravitated to that towards the end with the Music Man. He's a 10-inch radius, and there is a legend that the famous SRV Strat ended up being a 10-inch radius after all the refrets it had, but don't quote me on that. And yeah, so we wanted a really cool looking guitar that sounded cool, but didn't have those annoying things like the 7.5, you know, 7.25 radius, I should say, and you know, which means you can bend forever and it won't choke out. It's also got locking machine heads, which still look vintage and cool, which works really well with the trem. And what else have we got?
Well,
the hill. And this came from Phil downstairs. When he made these, he made this hill. It's really nice detail. I don't know if you can get in on that, where it's carved in. And even this hasn't really got a big cutaway, but you can still get up to the 24th fret. So we thought we'd carry that over to these sort of more vintage inspired ones here. So you can just play the 22nd fret, and that's another thing, it's got a 22nd fret, which all the vintage Strats and Teddies don't have, which if you're used to playing any kind of modern guitars, it's like, oh, it's not there. So this gets rid of that little annoyance. So that's kind of what we're after, you know, get rid of all those annoyances about playing vintage guitars, but they still look really cool.
The another thing that I always remembered about the pre-CBS Strats I had was that they had a veneer fingerboard on them. So you don't see that very often now. So we've actually set up our own veneer gluing system.
If you can see it on this
We'll show some necks at some point, but at this point here you can see that the veneer follows the radius of the actual neck, which has the radius of the fingerboard on it. So it's a small thing, but it kind of looks cool, and it was something that was done back in the day. So all of our necks are made like that, and if you look at those old Strats and Tellys, they've often got that construction system. We also, on the rosewood fingerboards, we're making our own clay dots in the oven. So, you know, a lot of these parts we've made ourselves. We're also making the metal plate under the pick guard, which we age as well. So, yeah, all of these things, it's all geeky stuff. I'm perhaps not as much of a geek as Laurence is. I just remember playing it many years ago and really loving it, and then not having played it for a while. But sort of take one of these home, and it's really quite fun to play. So we've sort of got, I think we've made, are we on 12 or 14 or something?
14 with the 85s.
Yeah.
And 12.
And we're going to make the 85s with our own headstock on as well next. So these will be available. All of the guitars are going to have aged finishes. But I mean, if you have a look up here, you can see we've got a couple of butterscotch Tellys. We've also gone into making these Paisley models, which I think we've both thought. I mean, all of us. Matt, who's doing the programming, everyone's like, "Oh, but Phil didn't like it, did he?"
No, Phil didn't like it.
No. Some people don't like it, but the Paisley Tellys are cool. There's a Paisley Strat there, and again, these are all, they've been made using a really high quality paper that we put underneath the finish. So it's a really sort of, you can see the metal work, the sort of foil in the paper, which the originals have. This one's got a nice sort of flame maple fingerboard. But I think they're looking pretty cool.
It's so cool.
We've got a couple of guitars here that we made for the Buddy Holly Foundation. These are painted by a chap who's local to us called Ian Ward, and Ian's done all sorts of work for the Fender Custom shop, and it's just like really lucky that he was working down the road. We didn't realise he was in the same country. I kept on seeing these pictures of his stuff, and he was. I got in touch, and he said, "Oh, I'm just like 20 minutes away." So we've started doing quite a lot with Ian. But yeah, that's sort of pretty nice. And yeah, there's the Strat he did. So yeah, there's plenty going on.
This is pretty cool. So this is my first attempt at a P90, which went really well actually. I mean, it worked. I think well, if it works and it's hum cancelling in the middle position, we're going to be happy. And it's slightly underwound to balance with the bridge pickup better. And it's all these things you can play around with. You know, it's so much fun getting all this stuff right. The pick guard, it was going to have a mint green pick guard, but I had a feeling that tortoiseshell. Now this is the same material we use for the acoustic pick guards, and it's all hand beveled and polished, just like we do that. But we've got the shielding material underneath to make all the bits here pop, and especially if you're getting it in a good light, it's kind of metallic, which is kind of cool. We thought that might work.
think a lot of people like a bound telly. We can also offer these with flame maple tops. These, there's a couple of them here. These are made out of pine, sort of an old table that we had, and yeah, it's got a really nice weight. It's kind of, yeah, it looks pretty cool. This has got a Madagascar rosewood fingerboard as well. So there's going to be a lot we can do, and as I say, we're going to offer them on the website to start with, and we're just going to make what we want to make, and hopefully some of you will enjoy that. And then, yeah, you can ask us to make other stuff, and if you're lucky, we might make it. This one turned out pretty well. We changed the various finishes that we do on the necks.
Yeah.
So that's got a very thin cellulose lacquer finish on it, and pretty much polished through, so you get this feeling, this effect that, I mean, the originals do look quite a lot like that, and the feel of them, there's very little going on them, so that will age in really nicely for whoever buys that, and so we've started the wear, but the customer can sort of make the rest of the wear themselves. I mean, that's a really cool butterscotch finish. You can see the checking in there. These bodies are made with a beachy, I believe is quite a sustainable timber now, and so quite a lot of makers are using that. Seth Backus, who is a good mate, we've sort of talked to him about that, and he's using that a lot, and it's very popular, but it's a really good weight as well. We'll probably get some scales at some point and you know, weigh each individual guitar, so you can see what the weight is on the website. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, please subscribe, share, and follow us on Instagram. If there's anything you'd like to know more about, please leave some comments in the boxes below. Thanks for watching.